We are absolutely surrounded by artificial intelligence these days, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder where it's all headed? Today, we're going to look at the two very different futures AI is carving out for us right now. One is filled with incredible promise, and, well, the other is filled with some pretty serious peril. Just think about that for a second. This isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It really gets to the heart of what's at stake here. The future of AI isn't just about cool new gadgets. It's about justice, it's about fairness, and it's about the human values we choose to program into these powerful new tools. So, to really get a grip on these two paths, we have to start with the most basic idea. What even is AI at its core? And that's the absolute key right there. And AI doesn't have its own intentions. It's not good, it's not bad, it's a tool. And just like any other tool, whether it's a hammer or the internet, its real-world impact comes down to the people who build it and control the algorithms, which are really just the step-by-step instructions telling the AI what to do. This slide breaks it down perfectly. So-called good AI tends to come from careful, thoughtful development that's actually trying to solve a real human problem. But bad AI, well, that's usually a product of human shortcuts, rushing things out the door, using biased data, like historical hiring data that reflects the biases of the past, and frankly, a lack of ethical oversight. Okay, so let's start on a high note. Let's look at the path of empowerment and the incredible things that are possible when AI is guided by those positive principles. This is such a great example of AI being a genuine force for good. Diabetic retinopathy is a condition that can actually cause blindness. The problem is there just aren't enough specialists to screen every single person who needs it, especially if you live in a rural or underserved area. And this is exactly the kind of problem AI is built to help solve. And here's how it works, which is just brilliant. The AI can analyze these retinal scans with amazing accuracy, flagging any that looks suspicious. This lets a human doctor focus only on the cases that need their expertise. It's not replacing the doctor, it's empowering them. It's making healthcare more accessible and literally saving people's sight. Okay, but for every path of promise, there is that other path, the path of peril. And this is what happens when that exact same powerful technology is used without enough care, without enough thought, and without real oversight. Remember that quote from the beginning about a biased algorithm in a courtroom? This is where that becomes scarily real. If you train an AI on historical crime data that already reflects societal biases, the AI isn't going to magically fix things. It's just going to learn those biases and apply them faster, maybe flagging the same over-policed communities again and again, creating this awful feedback loop. So, individual bias is bad enough. But things get a lot more frightening when we start talking about using AI to watch entire populations. And this is not some distant threat. The tech to do this exists right now. I mean, when you combine facial recognition with massive data analysis and you deploy it everywhere without super strict controls, the potential for misuse is just enormous. We could be heading toward a society where every single public movement is tracked, logged, and analyzed. That poses a fundamental threat to personal freedom and privacy, and the debate over how to regulate it is one of the most critical of our lifetime. And now we get to what many experts believe is the ultimate red line. We are talking about weapon systems that could, potentially, identify and attack a target all on their own, without a human in the loop giving that final command. And this is the crucial point where researchers, ethicists, and policymakers all seem to agree. AI is just nowhere near ready for that kind of responsibility. Giving a machine, an algorithm, the autonomous power to make an irreversible life or death decision is a line that we have to be incredibly careful about ever crossing. So, faced with these massive risks, from everyday bias all the way up to autonomous weapons, the global community has, thankfully, started to react. There's been a huge push to create some kind of framework for doing this stuff responsibly. So, you'll see principles like these popping up from governments and organizations all over the world. And they're great. They sound perfect, right? Transparency, fairness, accountability. These are absolutely necessary starting points. But the big question we have to ask is, are these principles, on their own, really enough? And the answer is a pretty clear no. Principles are useless without teeth. They're just suggestions. For these values to mean anything, they have to be backed up by real-world actions. Actual government regulations, independent audits that can check systems for bias, and transparent public oversight. In other words, you need accountability. So this brings it all back to what is maybe the most important question of all, the one that's sitting right at the center of this whole AI revolution. Really think about that. When an algorithm unfairly denies you a loan or a self-driving car gets into a fatal accident, who's actually responsible? Can you blame the machine? The answer is, and it really must always be, humans. The responsibility falls on the developers who wrote the code, the companies that rushed it to market, and the governments that failed to create proper rules. Blaming the tool is just a way for us to avoid our own responsibility. And this is why all of this matters to you, to everyone. You don't need to be a programmer to be part of this conversation. Just understanding the basics, what AI can and can't do, and who is in control of it, gives you the power to ask the right questions and demand that accountability. Because ultimately, the path that AI takes, whether it's one of empowerment or one of peril, isn't going to be decided by a silicon chip or some complex algorithm. It's going to be decided by us, by our choices, by our ethics, and by the kind of future that we demand. This conversation is happening right now, and it really does need every single voice.